All right, let's get straight to it. This is a strategic briefing. We're here because a $3 trillion industry is, right now, being cremated. And the scariest part? Most of its leaders can't even smell the smoke. What's taking its place is being built on a logic that is so completely different, and it all starts with a tiny system that costs just $385. To really wrap your head around what's happening, you have to think like a boatman from Kerala in South India. There's a concept there called Ulial Canal, which basically means seeing beyond seeing. The boatman knows that two totally contradictory currents can flow in the exact same channel. So the smart question isn't which one's stronger, it's which one is actually going to get me where I need to go. And as you're about to see, the current everyone is watching, well, it's an illusion.
So what is this channel? It's the global autonomous vehicle industry. And here's the kicker. Almost everyone, we're talking investors, CEOs, policymakers, you name it, they are all watching the wrong river. They're completely mesmerized by the splashy current on the surface, while a much deeper, much more powerful current is silently rearranging the entire map of the world.
Okay, so let's break this down. This whole conflict really boils down to two fundamental archetypes. On one side, you have the American hunter. This approach is frankly gilded and theatrical. It's all about stalking that one perfect, transcendent algorithm, the billion-dollar moonshot. The whole game is optimized for this quarter's big kill. And on the other side, you have the Chinese farmer. This approach is, well, it's turbid and it is relentless. The farmer doesn't hunt. The farmer prepares the entire field, plants millions of seeds, and optimizes for the harvest a decade from now.
And you have to understand, this goes way deeper than just a couple of different corporate strategies. We're looking at two completely different industrial philosophies. The hunter is painstakingly building this magnificent, incredibly expensive cathedral of code. The farmer is mass-producing an embodied intelligence platform for the entire world.
So what does it cost to build that cathedral? Well, get a load of this. The sensor suite on a single Waymo vehicle costs $175,000. It's an absolute marvel of technology, no doubt, but it is agonizingly, painfully unscalable.
And now, here is the number that just burns the entire model to the ground. The farmer's harvest, BYD's God's Eye system, costs just $385. And it's not some pricey optional extra. They give it away for free. It's standard on cars that sell for under 10 grand. You see, this isn't a price difference. This is a civilizational statement. And this is where I need you to really pay attention. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, interesting car story, you are missing the fire that's already licking at your feet. We have to talk about something called the burning god, because believe me, the auto industry is just the first one on the pyre. So what is the burning god? It's that moment of reckoning. It's when a new player, the farmer, with a totally different playbook, starts offering for free, or next to nothing, the very thing your entire 150-year-old empire is built on charging a fortune for. It is the exact moment you are forced to start dismantling your own company. And here's why the big legacy players can't escape. It's because they've built their own cage. These 5 structural traps are all self-inflicted wounds. They make it literally impossible to pivot when the farmer shows up. You're trapped protecting high-margin gasoline cars, or you're trapped by your dealer network, or you're trapped prioritizing this quarter's shareholder returns over the brutal R&D needed to survive. The result is always the same: total paralysis.
Okay, so this all sounds pretty dire, but how do you see it coming? How do you actually read both of those currents like the boatman? Well, you need the right instruments. The frameworks we're about to look at are designed to cut right through the noise, pierce the illusion, and give you a stone-cold diagnosis of what's really going on.
First up is the Interdependency Web. You've got to understand that these aren't 5 different industries. Nope, this is one single interconnected platform. In the farmer's model, a breakthrough in robotics immediately lowers the cost of logistics. A win in distributed energy lowers the cost of mobility. The whole system creates a flywheel effect. It just feeds itself. And when you actually score this, oh boy, the gap becomes brutally obvious. China gets a 24 out of 25. They are building the entire body. The US, at 18, is still strong, but mostly in the brain, the AI, the software, but they're weak in almost every physical part. And Europe, they're at an 11. They're becoming a buyer, not a builder. This isn't a market advantage, this is a civilizational advantage.
Now let's talk money, because this is where it gets truly insane. We call this the Maya meter. Maya being the Sanskrit word for illusion.
Check this out. The market values Waymo at roughly $50 million for every car they have on the road. Meanwhile, a company like WeRide, which actually operates a massive, profitable fleet in 11 countries, is valued at just $1.6 million per vehicle. You see the same thing with Pony.ai and Baidu. The market isn't just mispricing a few companies here, it is mispricing an entire industrial civilization.
So okay, just how fragile are the old guys, the incumbents? For that, we use a tool called the Dinosaur Meter. It's a super-fast diagnostic that looks at 7 key factors. How chained are you to old-world profits? How rigid is your cost base? How far behind are you on the actual tech? These aren't just opinions. These are measurable structural weaknesses.
And the verdict? Well, it's pretty much a countdown to extinction. Ford scores an 83.4, that's critical. Volkswagen a 79.1, high risk. Even Toyota, probably the strongest of the legacy bunch, is at 70.6, which is still elevated risk. What these scores are screaming is that a forced, painful financial reckoning is coming, one that Wall Street hasn't even begun to price in yet. All right, I'm going to switch gears for a second. Let's put this in terms that a skeptical corporate board can't ignore. No more philosophy. Let's talk numbers, data, and the sickness in our own organizations. Here's the unvarnished truth. While the hunter is busy perfecting a few thousand vehicles in a lab, the farmer has unleashed what I can only call a data monsoon. BYD's 2.3 million cars already on the road are generating 160 million kilometers of real-world training data every single day. They get more data in a week than we'll get in our entire program's lifetime. Their learning loop is compounding at a scale that is literally incomprehensible to our model. And this brings us right to the core of the problem. This isn't just a bad strategy. It's an organizational pathology. The hunter is obsessed, absolutely obsessed with creating one perfect, godlike algorithm in a sterile lab. The farmer gets it. They understand that good enough, when you deploy it to millions, becomes perfect through rapid, messy, real-world learning. We are running a science fair. They are building an empire.
And if you think this problem stops with cars, you are dangerously mistaken. This contagion is spreading. If you're in finance, your ridiculously complex 47-step closing process, that's your version of the auto dealer trap. You're in IT, that massive multi-year ERP upgrade is your high-margin SUV. It's preventing you from seeing the future. And for my friends in consulting, your billable hour, that is a stranded asset, about to be wiped out by a platform that does it better for pennies.
So what's the bottom line? What's the investment thesis for anyone paying attention? Well, it's an urgent one. It's grounded in a strategic logic that's literally thousands of years old. And you need to act on it before the next geopolitical shock makes all of this painfully, blindingly obvious to everyone else. The ancient strategist Kautilya figured this out perfectly over 2,000 years ago. Today, the granaries are the data centers and the hardware supply chains. The trade routes are the digital platforms that connect everything. And the lesson is the same. Whoever controls the production of embodied intelligence and the fire hose of data it creates, well, they control the 21st century kingdom. It's as simple as that. Look, the diagnostic tools we've been using here, the Dinosaur Meter, the Interdependency Web, the Maya Meter, they're all laid out in detail in the book this analysis is based on. The takeaway is crystal clear. You have to reevaluate your exposure to technology risk right now, and you need the right instruments to see the truth.
Let me leave you with one final thought. Back in the 1960s, the British motorcycle industry was king of the world. They laughed at the cheap little knockoffs coming out of Japan. They were so confident, so dominant, that they never even heard the other engine running until their own factories went silent for good. Today, that same sound is humming in the air. The only question is, can you hear it?